Part 161. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1601. Lu Su, did you buy any gifts for your Xiaotieti when you came back this time? Kadi looked at me with her big watery eyes. I rolled my eyes and said, come down here, you're so heavy. I've only been out for a few days and you've gained weight. If you continue like this, you'll turn into a pig. Cai Dai was startled and suddenly jumped out of my arms. She jumped 3 feet high and kicked my butt hard. Lu Su. You actually called me fat? I'm ignoring you. After saying that, Cai Dai sat on the sofa angrily, and Xiao He came over with a smile. I've told her a long time ago that she's fat, but she still doesn't believe me. I glared at him fiercely. This bitch really doesn't have a long memory just because he was beaten by Cai Dai a lot because of his mouth. Xiao He curled his lips and said no more. After a brief exchange of greetings with everyone in Jiyuntang, I was pulled aside by Princess Longji. Princess Longji looked at me with an extremely serious expression. She asked, the matter has reached this point, and you already know what you should know. Next, I will help you. Princess Longji is a god, and with her, I have a powerful helper. Thank you very much. I thanked Princess Longji. Princess Longji smiled and continued, what are you going to do next? I told all my plans. Princess Longji nodded after listening and said, this is the only thing we can do now. Princess Longji glanced at Su Tianqian not far away and whispered, I want to tell you one thing. No matter what happens next, you must look at Su Tianqian carefully. She loves you so much that she may act stupidly. Thing. I know about this, don't worry, even if I die, I won't let anything happen to Tianqian. After that, I talked to Longji about some things. I can't do anything now but wait for news from Sudaji and Zhaomian. But what I never expected was that the trip to Zhangzia's tomb was a complete trap, and that the scene on Penglai Island would happen again. Longji stayed in Jiyuntang, and we had dinner together. When I went to bed at night, I held Su Tianqian in my arms. She snuggled in my arms and suddenly said, Xiao Su, you must take Cai Dai with you on the next journey. Only Cai Dai in this world can take you to the tombs of the gods, and only she can open the passage to the tombs of the gods. I looked at Su Tianqian in my arms and asked, isn't that right? There should be many ways to get to the tomb of the gods, otherwise Zhaomian wouldn't be able to get in and out easily. Su Tianqian was startled and said, I don't know how he entered the tomb of the gods, but for you, Cai Dai is the only key. Okay, I get it. Su Tianqian and I fell asleep hugging each other. When we slept until midnight, I was suddenly awakened by a chill. I opened my eyes and looked around and found nothing unusual. Just when I wanted to continue sleeping, dull footsteps suddenly sounded outside the door. I frowned, got up and walked towards the door. I first put my ear to the door panel and listened carefully to what was going on outside. I listened for a long time but didn't hear anything. I opened the door and looked around, and my eyes were attracted by a note on the ground. I bent down and picked up the note. There was only one sentence written on it. Don't go, it's a trap. The handwriting looked familiar to me, and when I thought about it carefully I knew who the person who sent me the message was. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1602. It's Xiang Yi. I haven't seen him since I last left the underworld. Although Xiang Yi betrayed me, he risked his life to bring me out of the underworld, and I have never blamed him. I think there must be some reason for Xiang Yi to do this, but why doesn't he want to tell me? Last time Zhao Mian told me that Xiang Yi's soul died in order to save me, and now that Xiang Yi secretly delivers a message to me, it means that he has recovered. I finally let go of my worries. I took the letter and went to the corridor and looked around, but I didn't see Xiang Yi. I let out a long sigh. As the saying goes, husband and wife have no hatred overnight, and the same is true for brothers. Now I really hope to see Xiang Yi. At this time, there were slight footsteps behind me. I turned around and saw Su Tianqian wearing a pink nightgown looking at me sleepily. Xiao Su, why aren't you sleeping so late? Su Tianqian rubbed his eyes with his jade hands as he spoke. Xiang Yi has been here. Su Tianqian was slightly startled and asked, what's going on? I handed the note in my hand to Su Tianqian. Su Tianqian took it and took a look without much emotion. Xiao Su, do you still believe what he said? Without thinking, I nodded and replied, letter. Su Tianqian held up the note in his hand and asked, then what are you going to do now? I replied, I know that there are tigers in the mountains, so I prefer to go to the Tiger Mountains. Even if it is a trap, I will break through it. However, since I know it is a trap, I should be fully prepared. I must get the divine whip, the list of gods, and Zhangzia's memory. Zhao Mian also said that this was the key to realizing the plan. If the three things fell into the hands of the gods, the consequences would be disastrous. Okay, now that you have made your decision, I won't say anything more. Don't worry, no matter what happens, I will be by your side. I smiled at Su Tianqian. Su Tianqian yawned and stretched, revealing his proud figure. Xiao Su, I'm so sleepy. Then let's go to bed. Su Tianqian nodded obediently. Later, Su Tianqian and I fell asleep hugging each other. The next morning, when I got up, I saw that Su Tianqian had already prepared breakfast. She was wearing an apron and looked like a good wife and mother. After eating, Su Tianqian said she wanted to go out. I was slightly startled and asked, then I'll go with you. Su Tianqian shook his head and said, no, you can rest well at home, and Long Ji and I can just take a break. Su Tianqian was a professional who disappeared before. He disappeared without knowing it, and then suddenly appeared again. This situation does not exist at all now, because Su Tianqian will tell me where to go and what to do before leaving. When I saw Su Tianqian saying this, he didn't say anything and just nodded. Su Tianqian, Huaxiu, and Long Ji left Ji Yuntang. I took the marriage certificate to find Qin Fenglin. I came to the door of Qin Fenglin's dressing room and knocked on it. After a while, the door opened and Qin Fenglin appeared in front of me. When he saw me, he was slightly startled, and then said with some surprise, Brother Lu, you're back. Yes. I'm back. Qin Fenglin quickly invited me into the room and made tea for me personally. I picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip, then placed the marriage certificate on the table. Brother Qin, I have completed what I promised you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1603. When Qin Fenglin heard this, he stood up suddenly and asked excitedly, Brother Lu, are you telling the truth? Certainly. I pointed to the marriage letter on the table and said, you must keep this marriage letter. As long as this piece of marriage letter is there, the fate between your unborn grandson and Empress Titian will not be broken. As for whether it can be achieved in the future, it depends on whether your grandson has that ability. Qin Fenglin tremblingly stretched out his hand to pick up the marriage document. He looked at it carefully, and then made a move that shocked me. Qin Fenglin stood up and knelt in front of me with a plop. Brother Lu. You are the benefactor of my Qin family. How can you repay me for such a great favor? I quickly helped Qin Fenglin up and said, Brother Qin, it's just a small effort. Don't take it to heart. I have a fate with your Qin family. Helping your Qin family is also helping me. Qin Fenglin burst into tears of gratitude to me and kept thanking me. The two of us chatted for a while, and Qin Fenglin suddenly said, Brother Lu, you have always said that you are destined to my unborn grandson, and I have a heartfelt request. I was slightly startled and asked, what happened? Qin Fenglin scratched his head in embarrassment and said, after my grandson is born, Brother Lu, can you accept him as your disciple? Take on a disciple? I smiled and said, this matter, I'm afraid it will be difficult to do. Qin Fenglin asked doubtfully, why do you say that? I sighed slightly, my expression became lonely, and I whispered softly, because I may not be alive at that time. My limbs and five senses are slowly dissipating and I have only a few days left to live. It would be difficult for me to accept Qin Fenglin's grandson as my disciple. Moreover, I have no plans to accept a disciple. If I can really survive, I will help the Qin family a little. Qin Fenglin heard what I said and said quickly, Brother Lu, you are a lucky person and nothing will happen to you. Maybe. Qin Fenglin and I chatted some more, then said goodbye to him, and returned to Ji Yuntang. As soon as I returned to Ji Yuntang, I saw Cai Dai chasing Xiao He all over the house. Stinky bird! Not only will I tear your mouth apart today. Cai Dai flew up and threw Xiao He to the ground, raised her pink fist and hit Xiao He on the head hard. Auntie! I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't say anything. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. When I saw this scene, I selectively ignored it and walked straight towards the second floor. This little black mouth really needs a spanking. In the evening, Su Tianxian, Huaxiu, and Long Ji came back. The three girls all seemed very happy. I asked curiously, what are you three doing? Why are you so happy? Huaxiu subconsciously wanted to answer, but was interrupted by Su Tianxian. Nothing, we are just shopping. Seeing Su Tianxian say this, I became more and more curious. I pulled Huaxiu aside and asked in a low voice, Sister, tell me, what on earth did you and your sister-in-law do? Sister-in-law? Huaxiu raised his eyebrows and said, Brother, you are so shameless, you and Sister Tianxian are not married yet. Isn't that a matter of time? Tell me quickly. Huaxiu put his green-white index finger on his chin and said, well, actually, it's nothing but shopping. Really just going shopping? I asked suspiciously. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1604. If not. Huaxiu rolled his eyes and said to me seriously, Brother, don't ask about women's affairs, it's not good for you. You damn girl. You taught me a lesson. Huaxiu helplessly spread his hands and turned to leave. I looked at Huaxiu's leaving figure, and the corners of my mouth twitched slightly. What my brother did, was not majestic at all. Xiao Su. Su Tianxian called to me softly. I turned around and saw Su Tianxian walking towards me. She gently took my hand and led me towards the second floor. I bought you some clothes, you go and try them to see if they fit you. I was stunned and said with a smile, thank you, my wife. Su Tianxian took one look, stretched out his green-white jade finger and gently touched my head, saying, you are poor. Back in the bedroom, I started trying on the clothes Su Tianxian bought for me. I have to say that Su Tianxian has really good vision. Not only do these clothes fit me well, they are also very fashionable. Su Tianxian stood in front of me and stretched out her hand to straighten my collar. She murmured softly, unknowingly, we have known each other for so long, and the willful and ignorant boy has become a man of his own. Su Tianxian raised her head and looked at me quietly with her starry eyes. Her pupils were very clear, and I could clearly see my reflection in her eyes. Was I very willful before? Well, you are very willful and always like to mess around. I will never forget the first time you misunderstood me. It really pissed me off at that time. I stretched out my hand and gently hugged Su Tianxian's boneless waist, and Su Tianxian put his head on my chest. Yes. I was really willful and ignorant at that time. But, I'm glad that you didn't abandon me, but stayed with me all the time. Su Tianqian smiled brightly and said, you know it too. If it were anyone else, you would have made me angry. I gently placed my chin on Su Tianxuan's head and said nothing. Time does go very quickly, and everything is coming to an end. Now I want nothing more than that the people around me will be safe after everything is over. As for my ending, it's not that important. Okay, Xiao Su, you've been hungry all day, I'll go cook for you. I nodded, and then Su Tianqian went to the kitchen to cook. We still got together to eat in the evening. After dinner, I was washing dishes in the kitchen, Huaxiu and the others went out for a walk, and Su Tianqian and I were the only two people left in Jiyuntang. Su Tianqian was sitting on the Eight Immortals chair and reading a book as usual. This kind of life is really quite pleasant. I washed the last bowl and put it on the cupboard. I wiped my hands and was about to go out when I heard a loud bang from the hall. My face condensed, and I suddenly had a bad premonition in my heart. I rushed out of the kitchen and saw that the door of Jiyuntang was violently damaged, and the wooden door turned into countless pieces of debris and scattered on the ground. A man stood at the door of Jiyuntang. The man was 8 feet tall, with a tall and majestic figure, and a righteous look between his brows, which gave people an invisible sense of oppression. Su Tianqian stood in front of the man and looked at him coldly. Where's Lu Su? The man spoke slowly. His voice was so cold that it chilled people's hearts. I quickly protected Su Tianqian behind me, looked at the man coldly, and asked, I am Lu Su, what do you want to do? Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1605. The man looked at me coldly and said word by word, it doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that you leave me. The man in front of me is very dangerous, the aura exuding from his body makes me feel chills just by standing there. God. I protected Su Tianqian behind me, looked at the man coldly, and asked word for word, why should I leave with you? The man looked at me with disdain in his eyes, and he smiled jokingly, why come with me? It's very simple. If you don't come with me, the woman behind you, your sister, that butterfly, everyone around you will die. My heart sank and my brows furrowed. It seems that I killed Hu Tianzi to make the gods change their attitude towards me. No matter what happens, the gods are always playing tricks on me. But now he has jumped out into the open and threatened me with the lives of people around me to do things for them. The man continued, you don't have to believe my words. I'll give you 1 day to think about it. I'll be back at this time tomorrow. With that said, the man turned around and was about to leave, but after taking a few steps, the man hesitated and looked back at me jokingly. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. I won't be here alone tomorrow. They will all be there from the 9 lights and 10 capitals, then you won't be able to leave unless you leave. My pupils trembled slightly. 9 lights and 10 capitals. Juyao refers to the Juyao Star Lord, which are Jiju Star Lord, Huad Star Lord, Muda Star Lord, Taiyan Star Lord, Tuda Star Lord, Rahu Star Lord, Sun Star Lord, Jinda Star Lord, and Shweta Star Lord. As for the 10 capitals, the 10 palaces of Yama. Taoism has 3 clear, 4 imperial, 5 elders, 6 divisions, 7 UN, 8 poles, 9 stars and 10 capitals. Needless to say about Sanking, everyone knows it. The 4 emperors are Emperor Ziwei, Emperor Changsheng, Emperor Gushan, and Emperor Hutu. The 5 elders are the eastern Qingling Shi Lao Kang Daijun, the southern Danling Zhen Lao Red Daijun, the central Yuanling Elder Huang Dijun, the western Haoling Huang Lao Bai Daijun, and the northern Wuling Xian Lao Black Daijun. The 6 divisions are the 6 stars of the South Do, namely, Si Ming, Si Lu, Yanchao, Yizhuan, Du, and Shang Sheng. As for Qi Yuan, he is the god in charge of the Big Dipper. Beiji does not refer to God, but the 8 directions of east, south, west, north, southeast, southwest, northwest and east. These people have a very high and powerful status in the divine world. I didn't expect that the gods would not hesitate to let Ju Yao and Shidu come to capture me in order to obtain the divine whip and the list of gods. The last time I made a big fuss in the underworld did not cause any substantial harm to the 10th Palace Yama. Moreover, I guess that the underworld should have recovered by now, and the Fengdu Emperor and the 5 Ghost Emperors must be ready to make a move. Looking at the man's disappearing figure, my heart became heavier. Su Tianxian and I sat on the sofa, neither of us spoke. Until Longji, Huaxiu, and the others came back. When they saw that the door of Ji Yuntang was destroyed, they were shocked at first, and then asked me what happened. I could only lie and say that I accidentally broke the door while using the talisman. Huaxiu, Cai Dai, and Lu Hangxuan had no doubts, but Longji's expression was very ugly. Later, Su Tianxian, myself, and Longji came to my bedroom. "Have they been here?" Longji asked. I nodded. Longji asked in a serious tone, "What are you going to do?" I slowly raised my head, looked at Su Tianxian and Longji, and replied, "Leave with them." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1606. As soon as these words came out, Su Tianxian and Longji immediately froze on the spot. Su Tianxian stood up suddenly and said to me without thinking, "Xiao Su, you can't go with them." Longji didn't expect me to say that. She asked in a serious tone, "Lu Su, you have to understand that once you choose to leave with them, you will become a puppet of the gods. If you want to escape then, you will have to difficult." Su Tianxian nodded in agreement, "Yes, Xiao Su, with your current strength, it is impossible to fight against the gods, so you can't leave with them. If they really come tomorrow, don't worry, I have a way to defeat them. Retreat." I smiled at the two of them and said, "Tianxian, don't wait to hear me out." Su Tianxian was slightly startled when she saw how calm I was. Then she realized that she was a little out of sorts. She sat back on the bed and lowered her head without saying anything. I was silent for a while and then explained, "The enemy is in the dark and we are in the light. This situation is very unfavorable for us. We have no way to know the plans of the gods in advance. Moreover, with my current strength, I am not qualified to face the gods' confrontation. If there is a head-on confrontation, I will lose completely. Huaxiu, Cai Dai, Lu Hangxuan, Xiao He, they will all die because of this." Su Tianxian and Longji fell silent instantly after hearing my words. I sighed slightly and said, "And, have you noticed that the gods are acting more and more frequently? In the past, they could not easily enter the world because of the laws of heaven and earth. Recently, the gods have appeared around me frequently. Yanlong, Emperor Jinwu, Ancestor Hu Tian. I have a feeling the gods don't have much time left. The gods don't have much time left, and I don't have much time left either. Recently, I feel that my 5 senses are not as sensitive as before, which means that my 5 senses are slowly disappearing. The sky coffin is the only way to restrict the gods, and I can't just watch the monsters running out of the sky coffin. Rather than being passive, be proactive." Longji looked up at me and asked, "You mean, you pretend to cooperate with the gods and then find ways to use the gods to accomplish what you want to accomplish?" I nodded and replied, "Yes, the gods have reasons why they must kill me, and they also have reasons why they cannot kill me. As long as the gods want to get the whip and the list of gods, they must keep me. If they don't get it, they must keep me. The gods would not kill me before these 2 things." Zhao Mian told me before that the gods have discovered the place where Zhangzia's memory is and have taken action. It would be very difficult for me to break into that place directly, and my life would be in danger. Instead of doing this, it is better to cooperate with the gods, enter it peacefully, and then wait for the opportunity to act, using the gods to obtain the whip of gods and the list of gods. Su Tianxian looked at me with worry after hearing my plan. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but the words didn't come out. I smiled at Su Tianxian and said, "Tianxian, I know what you want to say. Don't worry, I will be careful." The worry in Su Tianxian's eyes did not disappear because of my words. She slowly stood up and came to my side and gently held my hand. She lowered her eyes and said to me in a very soft voice, "Xiao Su, I can't just watch you take risks alone. What should I do if something happens to you?" Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1607. Tianxian, don't worry, nothing will happen to me. I comforted Su Tianxian, I am different now than I used to be. No one can hurt me. Su Tianxian didn't say anything, just stared at me closely with his beautiful eyes. She has a habit of not saying anything when begging you, but just staring at you until your heart becomes hairy and you relent before agreeing. I always think Su Tianxian's little habit is quite cute. I took Su Tianxian's hand and said, "Tianxian, I am in deep trouble now. This is the only way to break the situation. This is also the simplest and most direct way." Seeing my persistence, Su Tianxian threw my hand away angrily, turned around and left. Princess Longji's eyes twitched slightly, and she said with some confusion, "Master Tianxian also has a temper." I smiled bitterly and replied, "She doesn't lose her temper easily. Once she loses her temper, it's hard to coax her." Princess Longji pursed her lips and smiled, "I think you are the only one in this world who can make Master Tianxian like this. You wait for me to chase her, and I will discuss it with her. She should agree." Princess Longji nodded. I left the bedroom and first went to Su Tianxian's bedroom and found that she was not there. Then I went to the hall on the first floor and found that she was not there yet. I asked Cai Dai, who was playing a game, "Where is Tianxian?" Kadi glanced at me and replied casually, "I just went out." I sighed secretly in my heart. It seemed that Su Tianxian was really angry this time. I rushed out of Jiyuntang and looked around but didn't find Su Tianxian. Where did she go? But if I have Xinwen, it will be easy for me to find her. I searched anxiously, and after a while I saw Su Tianxian in the square not far away. At this moment, Su Tianxia was sitting on the bench with his head lowered, wondering what he was thinking. I came and sat down next to her. Su Tianxian knew it was me, but she didn't even raise her head. "Tianxian!" I called softly. Su Tianxian still didn't respond. I leaned on the bench and looked up at the stars in the sky. "Tianxian, I know you are worried about me, but there is nothing you can do about it. If you want to break the situation, you can only do this. After death, there will be life. If you don't join the game, there is no way to break it. If you go crazy, it will only make things worse." "Oops." Su Tianxian whispered softly, "Is this why you want to abandon me?" "Abandon you? How could I abandon you? I still need you to help me." Su Tianxian was slightly startled and slowly raised her head. Her eyes were red and tears were rolling in her eyes. Seeing her like this, I felt so distressed that I quickly took her into my arms. "I just said that I wanted to join the game, but I didn't say that I wanted to leave you. Moreover, you must support me secretly. Only if you are here can I feel at ease." Su Tianxian looked at me quietly and said, "Xiao Su, I am really worried about you. This time is different from the previous times. The enemy you have to face is the god in this world. I am really afraid that something will happen to you. What should I do if something happens to you?" I reached out my hand and gently wiped away the tears from the corners of Su Tianxuan's eyes, and said, I know you are worried about me, but don't forget, how many dangers and troubles have I encountered along the way. Didn't I also survive successfully? Come down. Besides, I am not acting alone this time. I want you to protect me in secret and support me. Does this count as abandoning you? Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 1608. Su Tianxian shook his head slightly and replied, it doesn't count. I smiled and said, so, don't get angry with me. If you are so angry, just beat me up. Facing my playful smile, Su Tianxian still frowned. Xiao Su, it's not that I'm ignorant, it's that I'm really worried about you. The time you have with me is running out. Is it possible that you won't let me stay with you during this last period? As soon as these words came out, I was stunned for a moment, and then I realized something was wrong. Tianxian, what do you mean there is not much time left, and what do you mean by the last period of time? Su Tianxuan's face changed slightly, and she replied, what I mean is that the matter of Jusha's return to the palace is coming to an end. No one knows what will happen in the future. Will you and I survive? That's why I said there's not much time left, do you understand? My intuition told me that what Su Tianxian just said was not referring to this matter. No, that's not what you mean. You have something to hide from me. Su Tianxian lowered his head and remained silent. After a while, he said softly, it's not that I'm hiding something from you, but that you're hiding something from me. When I heard this sentence, my brain buzzed. Could it be that Su Tianxian knew that I used my limbs and 5 senses to repair the sky coffin? At this time, I felt coldness coming from the back of my hand. I looked down and saw drops of crystal tears falling on my hand. Su Tianxian is crying. Do you think I don't know anything? Do you think you can hide it from me? Do you think I can't find anything? Su Tianxuan's voice began to choke. 3 questions left me speechless. You don't want to tell me, so I pretend not to know, because I don't want you to be troubled by this matter. Su Tianxian slowly raised her head, and crystal tears fell from the corners of her eyes. Xiao Su, how long are you going to keep the secret from me? I don't know what to say. No wonder Su Tianxian has been clinging to me recently. It's not that there's something wrong with her health, but that she knows about it. Xiao Su, I love you, I really love you, so much so that I can be keenly aware of even the smallest changes in you, you can't hide it from me. At this moment, I finally knew why Su Tianxian had just lost his temper. I didn't have much time left, and she wanted to spend the remaining time with me. She has always known about this matter, but she just saw through it without saying anything. She cooperated with my performance so that I could do what I wanted to do with peace of mind. When did you know? I asked in a hoarse voice. I knew about it the night you came back from the underworld. I secretly checked your body while you were sleeping. It's hard to imagine how many times Su Tianxian cried in a corner that I couldn't see. At first, I just felt that something was wrong with you, but I couldn't tell what was wrong, but recently, your behavior has become more and more weird. Sometimes I call you many times before you answer. Sometimes you stagger when you walk, and sometimes your hands tremble slightly. To be honest, I didn't notice any of these changes in my body. Su Tianxian was so attentive. Xiao Su, I don't want you to leave me, and I don't want you to leave me. I'm not angry if you hide it from me, but you must never leave me. Su Tianxian held my hand, and tears fell down. I'm afraid that after you leave this time, I won't be able to see you again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1609. Su Tianxuan's pear blossoms were covered with rain, choked and sobbing, crying intermittently. My heart breaks when I see her like this. I held Su Tianxian in my arms. Sorry. I apologized profusely. Su Tianxian buried her face in my chest and cried loudly in grievance. Soon the clothes on my chest were wet with tears. I originally planned to keep this matter a secret until my death. However, I ignored Su Tianxuan's love for me. Just as she said, she loves me so much that she can be keenly aware of my subtle changes. Even I didn't notice the changes in my body, but she clearly noticed. I wanted to find some reasons to comfort Su Tianxian not to cry, as my limbs and five senses would recover. But, this matter is a foregone conclusion and cannot be changed at all. There is no way in this world to restore my limbs and five senses. If so, Su Tianxian would definitely tell me about it instead of crying so sadly. Xiao Su, why do you do this? I said in a hoarse voice, I have no choice in this matter. Everything started because of me. The reincarnation of the world must end in my life. If I don't do this, the monster in the coffin will burst out of the coffin. If I don't do this, Su Tianxian will become the only key to the tomb of the gods. If I don't do this, everything I have now will disappear. Only by using my limbs and five senses to repair the sky coffin can I preserve everything I have now. Lu Su's life can be described as wandering. In the beginning, I had a family and a relationship. However, after my grandma died, I lost everything and was left alone. Later, through my hard work, I got friends, brothers, sisters, and a lover. Reality hit me hard. I didn't want to see everything I had now go up in smoke. I had no choice but to do this. Perhaps, I shouldn't have been born into the world. From birth to now, everything I have done is nothing more than struggling in the quagmire. I think everything will be peaceful in the end, and the ending for me, Lu Su, is nothing more than quietly leaving this world. Tianxian. I called softly to Su Tianxian. Su Tianxian ignored me and just whimpered. I gently held her shoulders and pulled her out of my arms. I looked into her eyes. Said, Tianxian, listen to me, listen to me. Su Tianxian looked at me with tearful eyes, big tears falling from the corners of her eyes. I'm sorry that I made this decision on my own initiative. I can't think of any words to comfort you, because this is the fact and cannot be changed. Su Tianxian looked at me and asked word by word, so, what about the agreement between us? You agreed to give me a home, you agreed to take me to travel around the world, don't these things count? These words were like a giant hammer hitting my chest hard, making it difficult for me to breathe and making my heart hurt. Tianxian. I lowered my eyes, suppressed the sadness in my heart, and said, I also want to travel and make these appointments, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. These words are too heavy, but I must say them. I don't have much time left. If I really die. I raised my head, looked into Su Tianxuan's eyes, and said, then you will be my eyes and see everything in this world for me. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1610. Su Tianxian shook his head and choked up, I don't want you to leave me. I want you to accompany me to see the thousands of mountains and rivers. If you are no longer here, then all the scenery in this world will have no meaning to me significance. I really can't find any words to comfort Su Tianxian. Su Tianxian is a very rational woman, but she is also a very stubborn woman. Once she decides something, even 10 cows can't pull it back. Xiao Su, there will definitely be a way, right? Su Tianxian looked at me with tears on his face. No. I really wanted to deceive Su Tianxian, saying that I would survive and that it would still be too late. But the facts are in front of us, even if I cheated on her, what's the use? Long-term pain is worse than short-term pain. Now that the matter has been discussed, let's just continue. Su Tianqian lowered his eyes and murmured absently, "No, we must find a way. You will definitely not die. If you die, then I don't want to live alone in this world." When I heard this, I grabbed Su Tianxuan's arm a little harder. "No. No. No. Tianqian, listen to me, if I die, you have to live a good life. You will enjoy your old age and rest in a warm bed, all because of me giving up my precious life. After I die, maybe new people will break into your world, and you will have a new life and meet new people." As I spoke, my voice became choked. "Even if not, you will live on with the memories of me. If you are no longer here, then no one will remember the precious memories between you and me." At this time, Su Tianqian suddenly raised his head and slapped me hard on the face. "Lusu, what nonsense are you talking about? I would rather die than forget the memories between you and me. I can't bear to live without you. I can't bear to miss you day and night." Su Tianqian shouted these two sentences almost at the top of his lungs. I don't know how to answer, the negative emotions in my heart have reached its peak. I hugged Su Tianqian and choked with sobs. I don't want to leave either, but I have no other choice. Su Tianqian hugged me gently, and her voice suddenly became gentle. "Xiao Su, don't be afraid, as long as I am here, nothing will happen to you. There must be a way, but we don't know yet. Master, I will definitely let you live." Now, perhaps I can only show such a fragile side in front of Su Tianqian. Su Tianqian stretched out his hand, gently stroked my head, and said softly, "Xiao Su, let's not give up, okay? Let's go figure it out together, okay? Don't you have to act alone, I rely on you, everything depends on you. I will protect you in secret. No matter what happens, I will be there." Su Tianxuan's voice is like a clear mountain stream flowing slowly through my chest. "Good," I replied in a hoarse voice. After a while, Su Tianqian and I both calmed down. Su Tianqian wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, looked at my red and swollen face, and asked with distressed eyes, "Does it hurt?" I shook my head and replied, "It doesn't hurt." Su Tianqian gently touched my cheek and said, "Xiao Su, can you take me for a walk?" I nodded, and then left the square with Su Tianqian.